It is, it's basically the ultimate financial fantasy, isn't it?
No, without a doubt.
Like, what if you could wake up, look at your screen, and just predict the stock market? And with better than random accuracy, you know?
Yeah, not just a hunch.
Right, not a hunch or a gut feeling based on some random news headline. We are talking about actual mathematical certainty regarding what is going to happen next.
The Holy Grail.
Exactly. It is the kind of puzzle that has obsessed Wall Street for decades. I mean, it's eaten up billions of dollars in supercomputing power. And if you are listening to this right now, you've probably wondered exactly how close artificial intelligence is to, well, to actually pulling that off.
Are we there yet?
Are you there yet?
So today's deep dive is on a mission to find out. We are unpacking a genuinely fascinating research paper from Dublin City University. It's by researchers Lopez Gil, Duhamel-Sabline, and McCarran.
And it's titled, An Evaluation of Deep Learning Models for Stock Market Trend Prediction. They essentially threw a gauntlet of advanced deep learning architectures at real-world market data, just to see if algorithms can reliably forecast short-term trends.
What's fascinating here is that the real challenge isn't just about building a smarter AI.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, the math behind the neural networks is incredible, obviously, but the true hurdle is dealing with the absolute chaos of financial systems.
Yeah, chaos is the right word for it.
Right. The stock market is highly stochastic, which is just a mathematical way of saying it is profoundly random.
Ah, stochastic.
Yeah. It's driven by this massive collision of economic indicators, geopolitical events, algorithmic trading, and, frankly, raw human panic.
Humans do panic.
They do. And you cannot simply feed that unfiltered chaos into a machine learning model and expect it to give you a clean, actionable prediction.
It would just choke on it.
Exactly. We'll just output noise.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because trying to predict the market from raw daily data, I mean, it's like trying to record a whisper at a heavy metal concert.
That is a great analogy.
Right, you have to somehow isolate that single voice. The researchers realized they needed to clean the financial data before the AI even got a look at it.
It did.
And to do that, they used a technique called wavelet denoising. Now, the way I understand this, it is fundamentally different from just taking, like, a moving average of a stock price.
Oh, completely different.
Because a moving average just lags behind the actual price, right? Which is useless for predicting the future.
Yeah, it's always looking backward.
Right, so wavelet denoising is more like taking a fully baked cake and somehow extracting just the sugar so you can measure it.
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
It separates the macro cake trend from the micro sugar volatility.
That is actually a highly accurate way to visualize it.
Oh, good.
Specifically, they use the discrete wavelet transform, or DWT.
DWT, got it.
And they employed a specific wavelet known as the Dobitsch's wavelet, or DB4.
Okay, DB4. So how does that actually work?
Well, instead of just averaging out prices over time, the DWT maps the financial signal into the frequency and time domains simultaneously.
Oh, both at once.
Exactly. It breaks the jagged, chaotic price line down into layers.
Like separating the frequencies in audio.
No, not like that. The model identifies the specific mathematical coefficients that represent the useless high-frequency jitters.
The noise.
Right, the noise. And then it applies a mechanism called soft thresholding.
Soft thresholding.
Yeah. It literally shrinks those chaotic microfluctuations towards zero while preserving the larger sudden movements.
So you don't lose the actual trend.
Right. The end result is a smoothed out curve that still retains the essential structural reality of the market.
You know, the paper actually gives a perfect visual for this mechanism in action.
Oh, figure 1.
Yes, figure 1 of the study.
Yeah.
They show the S&P 500 during the COVID-19 crash in early 2020.
A very chaotic time.
Yeah, we all remember that period. The original signal in their chart is wildly jagged. I mean, it's practically vibrating with panic as the price plummeted.
It looks like a seismograph during an earthquake.
Totally. But in the denoise signal, that massive structural drop is still completely intact, but the extreme jagged day-to-day noise has been surgically extracted.
And the impact this has on the AI is staggering.
It really is. The researchers point out that without this specific denoising step, when the models were fed the raw original data, they essentially performed like a coin toss.
Yeah, around a 50% accuracy rate.
So they were basically just guessing.
Literally guessing. But once that data was smoothed out using the DB4 wavelet, The prediction performance of the entire suite of models skyrocketed.
Just from cleaning the data.
Just from cleaning it. It proves a foundational rule of machine learning, Your model's predictive power is entirely constrained by the structural integrity of the data you feed it.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. Noise in, noise out.
So, okay, we have a clean track. But a smooth road doesn't really matter if you are testing your race car in a vacuum.
Right.
A predictive model is only as good as the crucible you test it in. And the researchers chose two highly distinct battlegrounds for this, spanning data from the year 2000 all the way to late 2023 and early 2024.
A huge data set.
Yeah, massive. The first was the S&P 500. Now, logic might suggest the S&P 500 would be easier to predict because it is the most heavily studied market on Earth.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Right. But it's actually the opposite. The S&P 500 is what economists call a highly efficient market.
Very efficient.
Meaning any anomaly, any predictable mathematical pattern, it's instantly spotted by thousands of hedge fund supercomputers.
And they arbitrage that pattern away in milliseconds.
Exactly, effectively erasing it. So that intense constant scrutiny makes the S&P 500 incredibly difficult for a new model to conquer.
It's a very tough arena. So to balance that out, they needed an arena with completely different physics.
Right. What did they pick?
They chose the EWZ.
The EWZ. What is that?
It is a Brazilian exchange-traded fund representing a group of mid-cap companies on the São Paulo Stock Exchange.
Okay, so very different from American Megacore.
Vastly different. They chose this specifically for its high volatility.
Oh.
It swings wildly. It's exposed to completely different macroeconomic forces than U.S. tech giants. So it tests the model's ability to handle larger, faster market shocks without breaking down.
That makes sense. And I noticed they also altered the time frame within these arenas.
Yes, they did.
They didn't just test daily closing prices. They tested hourly prices, too.
Yeah.
Which the physics of an hourly time frame seem totally different to me.
Oh, it's a completely different game.
Right. Because in a daily window, a stock has time to establish a real directional trend based on actual news or earnings.
Right, there's a narrative.
But in an hourly window, the noise-to-signal ratio is massive. Even with the wavelet denoising, an hourly chart is dominated by micro-volatility.
And the results bore that out completely.
I bet.
Daily prices have larger absolute errors, meaning the actual dollar amount the prediction is off by is larger, simply because bigger moves happen over 24 hours than over 60 minutes.
Oh, sure, the swings are physically larger.
Right. But predicting the fundamental direction of the daily trend proved far easier for the algorithms.
Predicting up or down is easier daily.
Yes. Predicting the hour-by-hour heartbeat was a massive stumbling block.
I can imagine.
The random noise plays a proportionally larger role in a one-hour window, making it incredibly difficult for the models to extract a reliable mathematical signal.
So here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because the researchers pulled several state-of-the-art models from a machine learning library called the DARTS library to run through these arenas.
Yes, DARTS is very well known for time series.
Right. And they brought in a wide variety of architectures. We have TCN, or temporal convolutional networks, which use dilated convolutions to look back over specific time windows.
Good models.
We have N-beats and N-hits, which rely on block architectures. There is TIDE, which is a newer multi-layer perceptron, very linear and straightforward.
Keep that one in mind.
Yeah, TIDE is important. And then we have TFT, the temporal fusion transformer. Now, to judge these models, the researchers used a metric called S, meaning absolute scaled error.
A standard benchmark.
The way I understand S is, well, imagine a guy predicting the weather.
Okay.
His entire methodology is just looking outside and saying, whatever the weather is today, tomorrow will be exactly the same.
A very lazy weatherman.
Exactly. And the researchers call this a naive forecast.
Right.
If your multi-million-dollar supercomputer has a MACE score of over 1, it is literally performing worse than the guy who just says, tomorrow equals today.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And that metric exposed one of the most surprising findings in the entire paper.
Tell me about the TFT.
Right. So the temporal fusion transformer, the TFT, is a highly complex model. It uses what is called a multi-head attention mechanism.
Which sounds very fancy.
It's very fancy. It is designed to look at dozens of different aspects of the historical data simultaneously, trying to capture incredibly nuanced long-term dependencies.
Okay.
It is, by all accounts, an elite, highly complex AI architecture. But on the S&P 500 daily data set, its MAS score hit 1.70.
Wow. It face-planted.
Completely.
A 1.70 means it is dramatically worse than random guessing. It is actively making bad decisions.
The mechanics of that failure are fascinating, though.
Why did it fail so badly?
Well, the TFT's multi-head attention mechanism looks at everything at the exact same time. But in a highly random environment like finance, looking at everything means you inevitably end up giving mathematical weight to pure coincidence.
Oh, I see.
It literally overanalyzed the noise. The sheer complexity of the model caused it to find false patterns that didn't actually exist.
It outsmarted itself.
Exactly. Meanwhile, you look at Tide, that much simpler linear model you mentioned earlier.
Right, the linear one.
It performed remarkably well, consistently scoring well under 1 on the MAC metric. Yeah, in financial forecasting, complexity does not always equal accuracy.
Right.
A simpler, more direct architecture often handles the chaos much better because it doesn't get distracted by false signals.
That dynamic is the perfect setup for the real champion of this deep dive.
Yes, it is.
Because the researchers didn't just rely on those off-the-shelf models from the DARTS library. They brought their own custom creation into the arena.
The secret weapon.
Exactly. The xLSTM-TS. That stands for Extended Long Short-Term Memory for Time Series.
A bit of a mouthful.
It really is.
Yeah.
Now, standard LSTMs have a notorious memory problem, right? They suffer from something called gradient vanishing.
Yes, they do.
It is like the model is reading a 1,000-page history of the stock market, but by the time it reaches chapter 50, the math gets too small to process effectively, and it literally forgets chapter 1.
The signal just fades out.
Right. So how does this extended architecture actually stop that memory loss?
Well, the xLSTM architecture fixes gradient vanishing through a mechanism called exponential gating.
Exponential gating.
Yeah. Imagine the AI's memory is a leaky bucket.
Okay.
Older data slowly drips out. That is your gradient vanishing.
Got it.
Exponential gating acts like a dynamic valve on that bucket. It mathematically evaluates the incoming data, recognizes which long-term trends are fundamentally important, and dynamically adjusts the internal weights to seal them in.
So it decides what's important to keep.
Right. It forces the model to hold on to those long-term memories without letting them fade over time.
And it pairs that dynamic valve with 2 new memory structures, doesn't it? The
Yeah.
SLSTM and MLSTM.
Yes.
From what I read, the SLSTM handles scalar tracking, managing singular, specific memory updates very efficiently.
That's right.
But the real engine seems to be the MLSTM, the matrix memory.
Oh, the matrix memory is huge.
Instead of storing data points in a single linear sequence, a matrix memory stores the relationships between data points in a grid.
Exactly.
This allows the model to eliminate irrelevant hidden connections and process the data in parallel, right?
Yeah, it can look at vast amounts of historical time series data simultaneously without losing the structural thread of the market.
And then the researchers adapted this architecture specifically for the unique demands of time series forecasting.
Which gives us the TS designation in the name.
Right. Well, the performance statistics on this model were exceptional.
Truly impressive.
On that highly volatile Brazilian EWZ dataset on the daily time frame, the xLSTM-TS achieved an F1 score of 73.16%, with a test accuracy of nearly 73%.
That F1 score is critical.
Yeah, a 73% accuracy rate on a volatile index is wild. And that F1 score proves the model isn't just blindly guessing up every day, because the market generally trends upward over time.
Right, it's not a lazy trick.
Exactly. It is finding a harmonic balance between precision and recall, accurately catching the downturns as well as the upturns.
And it wasn't a fluke on the Brazilian market either.
No. On the highly efficient S&P 500 daily dataset, the xLSTM-TS achieved the lowest mean absolute error of all the models tested, hitting 22.93.
The lowest error rate across the board.
Yeah. Its RMSSE error metric was down to 0.69. It consistently outperformed every single model.
You really see the power of this in Figure 2 of the study.
Oh, I love Figure 2.
They included a chart showing the model's next-day predictions against the actual S&P 500 closing prices in late 2022.
And they map correct directional guesses with circles and incorrect ones with crosses.
And looking at that chart, it is overwhelmingly circles.
It really is. It tracks the actual price line with this eerie accuracy, anticipating the dips and the peaks almost perfectly.
It visually validates the entire thesis of the paper.
Yeah.
It proves that the combination of wavelet denoising to establish structural data integrity paired with a bespoke architecture, like the xLSTM-TS one that can hold long-term mathematical memory without overfitting to noise, it creates a formidable forecasting tool.
So what does this all mean?
Whoa.
Wait, I have to push back here.
Sure, go ahead.
Because a 73% win rate on historical data is a phenomenal academic achievement, right?
Absolutely.
But isn't it true that financial models almost always overfit to the past?
That is the perennial problem.
Like, if I try to spin up an xLSTM-TS model tomorrow and hook it up to my brokerage account, I am dealing with a live market.
Very different environment.
Exactly. Historical data, no matter how perfectly modeled, cannot anticipate black swan events.
True.
It doesn't know about a sudden geopolitical crisis or a surprise interest rate hike or, a CEO resigning at 2 in the afternoon.
Oh, wait, you're the news.
Right. So does the xLSTM actually anticipate structural market shocks, or is it just getting incredibly lucky on the smooth, predictable days?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, your skepticism is exactly the right lens to use.
Okay, good.
The researchers are highly transparent about the explicit limitations of this study. Overfitting to the past is always a risk, but the more profound technical limitation involves the denoising process itself.
The wavelets.
Yes. We discussed how the DB4 wavelet smoothed out the data and made the macro trends readable.
Extracting the sugar from the cake.
Exactly that mechanism. But these models were trained and validated on data that had been cleanly denoised in retrospect.
Wow.
You can perfectly denoise a historical signal because you know the end of the timeline.
You know how the story ends.
Right. You can look at a massive drop in 2020 and mathematically confirm it was a crash, not just a jitter.
Because you can see the days after it.
Exactly. But if you are using this algorithm in real time, you are dealing with the noise as it unfolds. You suffer from what's called the edge effect of wavelets.
The edge effect.
Yeah. When a sudden price movement happens live, the model doesn't know yet if it is a meaningless microfluctuation or the beginning of a massive structural crash.
Because it hasn't seen tomorrow yet.
Precisely. Dealing with that live unfolding chaos is infinitely harder than analyzing a clean historical data set where the answers are already printed at the back of the book.
It's the difference between studying game tape after the football game is over versus actually being on the field while the play is happening.
That's a perfect way to put it.
But that live fire difficulty doesn't mean this architecture is a dead end, does it?
Not at all. The researchers clearly map out their future goals.
What's next for them?
They want to test this robust xLSTM-TS architecture on commodities and foreign exchange markets.
Oh, Forex is huge.
And massive. But more importantly, they want to integrate sentiment analysis.
Right.
Having the mathematical model analyzing the deep numerical trends through matrix memory, while another distinct branch of the AI is actively reading Bloomberg.
Or parsing quarterly financial report.
Exactly. Or measuring human sentiment on social media.
It attempts to bridge the gap between historical math and real-time human unpredictability.
Right. Integrating large language models for sentiment analysis is the logical next frontier.
Because it gives it the context.
It provides the model with the real-time context that historical price data fundamentally lacks.
Bringing it all together for you listening. Deep learning is making massive, undeniable strides in financial forecasting.
Massive strides.
But the real unsung hero of this entire endeavor is not just the complex AI, it is the data preprocessing.
The denoising.
Right. Without wavelet denoising isolating the structural trends, even a supercomputer is essentially flipping a coin.
50-50 odds.
And while custom-built architectures like the xLSTM-TS prove that you can overcome the memory limitations of older algorithms to conquer complex data, the stock market remains a highly volatile beast.
Extremely volatile.
Complexity does not guarantee victory, as the failing TFT model proved, and the raw chaos of human trading is still incredibly difficult to tame in real time.
You know, this raises an important question, a final thought to really ponder.
Yeah.
We started this deep dive exploring the ultimate financial fantasy of perfectly predicting the market.
The Holy Grail.
Let's imagine a near future where architectures like the xLSTM-TS do perfectly integrate sentiment analysis and live denoising.
Okay, they solve all the current problems.
Right. They achieve near-perfect prediction accuracy in real time.
It sounds great.
It does, until inevitably every major financial institution, every hedge fund, and every massive algorithmic trader starts using that exact same perfect model simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
If everyone has the perfect model, and the AI tells everyone the exact same future price for tomorrow, does the stock market simply stop functioning as a market?
Because there's no disagreement.
Exactly. A market inherently requires a buyer and a seller with opposing views of the future.
Right. If I think it's going up and you think it's going down, we trade.
But if everyone knows exactly what will happen, who is left to take the other side of the trade?
That is wild. The ultimate fantasy of perfectly predicting the market might actually be the very mathematical certainty that breaks the market entirely.
Exactly.
Definitely something to think about the next time you check your portfolio.